everybody, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to episode 20 of Red Riders Viewers Rides. I apologize that it's taken so long to get this episode out, but it's only partly my fault. It was ready before Christmas, but I was obviously busy for Christmas, and I've been pretty busy after Christmas, and I've also had a hard time coming up with a subject just to talk about for this episode, but I feel like I say that every episode, and then I just end up talking about random things that I've been up to. So I figured I would just do this one unscripted like I do every other video of mine, and just talk about what I've been up to in the garage. So I will sit here and give you guys an update on my garage life while you guys look at some photos. But before that, I wanted to give a shout out to a YouTube channel called Canadian Saint and say thank you to him for showing my motorcycle and giving me a shout out on his YouTube channel. It's actually the first YouTube channel that's actually like done a little feature thingy on my bike. So I sent him a photo of my bike, and he kind of does a thing similar to like this viewers rides things, but he'll just show a photo at the beginning of every episode. I think whenever he has a photo available of one of his viewers' bikes, and in one of his past episodes he showed my bike. So I'll put a link to his video in the description of this video. So thank you, Canadian Saint. Also, just wanted to mention a couple things that are a little bit different about this episode than older episodes. And you will notice, first of all, that people in this episode are gonna have like multiple slides with their photos. Previously, I was just keeping it with like one slide per person, but we've decided that if you send in enough good photos for more than one slide, you will have more than one slide in an episode. So there are a few people who have 2 or 3 slides, and then at the very end of the video we're actually doing a featured bike. So there'll be 8 slides on this custom Triumph that belongs to Fred in Holland, and he's got a really nice custom Triumph, and we decided that we wanted to kind of do like regular featured bikes in these episodes. So if you've got like a cool chopper that's custom, and I don't mean that's custom chrome or Drake Specialties custom, I mean something that's like one of a kind, custom fabricated, and you've got some nice photos of it, take a look at Fred's bike at the end of the episode and use his photos as an example. And if you want to have your cool custom chopper featured in one of my episodes, then send me some photos. With all of that, let's get into the episode, guys, and I will just keep talking in the background. So as I've mentioned before, guys, these episodes are made to be viewed on a desktop computer. So if you're watching on a phone, it's going to make it really difficult to read some of the information. If you don't care about reading the information and you just want to look at the bikes, then all the power to you. You can watch on your phone. You can watch however you want to watch, but just remember that these episodes are designed with the intention or with a thought in mind that people are going to be watching from a desktop or a laptop. So if you want to get all the details, then you're going to have to watch on a bigger screen. Also, some of these slides have a lot more information than others, so you'll just have to pause the video if you want to read some of that information. I know I've had people tell me before that the photos don't stay up on the screen long enough, and they're on for 15 seconds each, and that's a pretty decent amount of time. It's definitely enough time to give you a chance to either look at the bikes real quick if you just want to have a quick look, and or to pause the video and have a better look at them if you would like to. So do whatever you gotta do, guys, and I just hope you enjoy the episode. And I want to say thank you to everybody who's participated in this episode for sending in your photos. So these episodes are kind of sporadic with the way that they come out, because we can't really put an episode out until we have enough photos to make an episode. So that's how come they don't have like a regular schedule, and why sometimes there's a pretty big gap between episodes. It's just because we kind of have to wait to get enough entries before we can actually put an episode out. And I apologize, guys, that they don't come out more back to back, but there isn't really a whole lot that I can do about that at this point. So it is kind of just the way that it is. And what I've been up to in the garage lately, I know that you guys are all eager about the projects that I've got strewn about my garage, and I always have people asking me when I'll be working on the Yamahas, or when I'll be working on the Sportsters, or what I'm doing to this bike or that bike, or why don't I do this and that. And well, guys, unfortunately, my life does not consist of being in the garage as much as I would like it to. I still have other things I have to do, and projects unfortunately also require money. So whatever I'm able to do at the time is kind of what I do, and my main focus right now is working on the bikes that are running and rideable and just making sure that they're ready for the upcoming season, which is what I've been doing to my Dyna. Some of you guys have maybe seen my most recent episode that I put out about the stabilizer kit that I made for my Dyna. Well, my dad actually had the idea to go off of the spoof stabilizer kits that you can buy for these. He heard about those a while back and he told me about them because they're supposed to get rid of that dreaded Dyna wobble that you can experience in the corners sometimes at high speeds. And my dad went and checked them out online, and when he was looking at them, he figured, hey, those look like they're pretty easy to make, so we're just gonna make some. So that is what we did. But we made ones that are not quite the same as the spoof thing. They do the same thing, but they definitely are not exactly the same, because the ones that I made are weld on, where the spoof ones are completely bolt on. So I think an advantage to having weld on ones is you just have less components that can come loose and less parts, and that I think makes it so that it's just a little bit more reliable, maybe, because you don't really have to worry about as many bolts that may or may not come loose. Also, with our weld-on ones, they actually tuck into the bike really nicely, and they're not big and clunky, and they don't stick out, and they're actually hardly even noticeable. You don't even see the back one on my Dyna, and the front one is pretty well tucked in and not too noticeable either, and it actually doesn't look bad on the bike. So if you're wondering how those look, and if you're wondering how I made them, you can go check out my video. That should be the most recent upload on my channel. I will also put a link to that video on the corner of the screen here on the right hand corner. You should find a link too that'll pop up. And I actually had quite a good time just doing those mounts. I think that the most difficult thing was probably just measuring stuff out, because the holes for the bolts that go through the motor mounts have to be exact. So it was a little bit tricky just measuring stuff while it was all on the bike, but obviously it can be done because I did it and it's on the bike now, and I'm just so excited to go and actually take this thing out and see how much better it handles. I've heard that those kits make night and day difference for these Dynas, and I'm super excited to try it out. Unfortunately though, it's just been like just a sloppy wet winter here. It hasn't been as cold, thankfully, as they said it would be. They were telling us it was going to be a colder winter than normal, but it actually hasn't been colder. It's just been cloudy and rainy and snowing. It'll snow and then melt right away, which is all right because I don't like having old snow on the ground. I think we've had like 5 sunny days since I got home from Florida in October, and that is just really unheard of here. Normally it's like nice and sunny and bright and the roads are dry, and it's basically like almost riding weather all throughout the winter, except for like a few weeks in January where it might get cold and snowy. But we haven't really had any cold snaps. It's actually been pretty decent temperature wise. It's just been wet. Everything has just been wet, and it's just been so cloudy, and I just cannot wait for the sun to come back this spring and for me to take my Dyna out for a spin. I'm so excited for it. Anyway, there are a couple other little things I want to put on the Dyna before it comes off the lift. I want to put on some new grips because I've got these big chunky grips on here that are just way too big for my hands, and they're ugly in my opinion. No offense to anyone who might have those or like them, but they're just not my style of grips, and they kind of make my hands sore because of how big they are. So I've got a set of Arlen Ness grips that I actually want to put on here, and I think they'll look good, and they're more my size. Eventually one day I'll probably change these burly bars out too for some 1-inch bars, because I don't really like these fat bars, but they do kind of suit the bike, I guess. The rest of the chunky look of the Dyna does kind of go along with these chunky bars, and like I've said before, I just don't really care a whole lot how my Dyna looks. Like, my Dyna looks okay as it is for what it is. A lot of people actually really like the look of my Dyna, and I don't dislike the look of my Dyna or anything like that, but I've never been into the wide glides just because I've never liked those fat tanks, and I've never liked the wide front ends. I definitely am more like into the FXR style of chassis and the front ends and the tank. I like the way that the FXRs look more compared to the FXD WGs, but that's okay because my Dyna is just my get me around bike, and it doesn't have to look fancy because I've got a fancy bike, and that's my Shovelhead. And my Shovelhead will also be having its turn up on the stand. It's gonna need some work done to it. It's got a bunch of leaks, and I know it's a Shovelhead and it's supposed to leak, but I'm not very happy with the amount that it is leaking. It's like my leaks have leaks, and that Shovelhead has not really had any like real kind of maintenance done to it since I put it on the road like 6 seasons ago. I've just been kind of doing like the basics, like oil changes and greasing it and tuning it up and stuff like that. But when it comes to just being taken apart and kind of being gone over, it hasn't had that done to it since it went on the road, because every season I'm like, oh, I will do it next season. But I feel like this is next season and it is time for me to do it now, because it's just gotten to the point where it is leaking out so much oil that it is just no longer within my budget to keep providing oil for this leaky Shovelhead. So that will be the next thing on the lift, and I'm actually kind of excited to give that thing a little love because it has not had very much love since it's been on the road. It's just been a good old trooper, and it actually has never let me down. My Shovelhead has never broken down on me. The closest it ever came to breaking down was when the release finger for my throwout bearing broke on the side of the road, and I probably could have limped my bike home if I wanted to, but I didn't need to because I had someone with a trailer who was able to come and get me and drop me off, and I was actually just down the road from my house, but I didn't really want to try to make it home without a clutch. Anyways, that's the only time my bike in the last 6 years has ever even come close to letting me down, and I think that's doing pretty good for an old Harley, if I have to say so myself. So that's the next thing to go up on the lift, and someone actually emailed me a video and they gave me a really good idea for something that I would like to do with one of my Ironheads as a replica bike, and I think it would be super cool. I've never actually watched this show, but you guys have talked about it before. Along Came Bronson. There's a Sportster on there that is actually a really cool looking Sportster, the way that it's been modified, and I think that it would be really cool, and thank you, Joe, for this idea, because it's something that I'm seriously going to look into doing. I think it'd be super cool to do a remake of that Along Came Bronson Sportster with one of my Sportsters. I would just need to get myself an XLH frame, and I feel like all the other parts would be pretty easy to come across. So that's a little bit of an update, guys, about what's going on in the Red Ryder garage, but I hope you guys enjoyed this slideshow. I know that you guys like talking about each other's bikes in the comments, so feel free, if you see a bike that you really like, give someone a compliment in the comments. And guys, if you've got a bike that you want to show off in one of these episodes, please send me some photos. Please make sure that your photos are clear so that they're not blurry, so that they've got like a high resolution or high pixel count, whatever you want to say. I'm not really nerdy, but I just know that they've got to have a good resolution, otherwise they're too blurry for us to really put on an episode. So make sure you send some good photos, make sure you send some information about your bike and where you're from, because that also makes it really fun. Also, guys, I love it when you guys send in vintage photos, like photos of you as a baby sitting on an old bike that belonged to your dad, or photos of, you know, an old bike that you bought when you were like 19 or something like that. I love those old photos, even if it's a photo of a photo. Just try to take a good photo of a photo as much as you can, and send in photos of your current ride also, guys. You don't have to be riding the bike today to be able to show it off in one of my episodes. If it's something that you've ever had at any point in your life and you want to show it off, send in your photos, guys. I think that this is a great way to build community, and I know that a lot of you guys really like it, so I hope you guys continue to enjoy these episodes. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and like always, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you like what you see, or if you just like me, or even if you don't like me but you like my bikes, then like, comment, subscribe, do all those things you guys do, and like always, my lovely YouTube people, I will catch you all on the flip side. Peace. Those are, yeah, how long is this so far? The what was when the, I wish I could speak without losing my train of thought so easily. No, don't say that. And someone, I'm not even gonna say that. No matter what, it's gonna look like a mess. Here always looks like a frickin' mess. Anyway. was gonna say something I don't remember now. Shoot. Belongs to Fred or Frank?